This debate was hosted in conjunction by the Governor and SAC, and our candidates for today are Tamir, Ozai, and Louise. To begin, we'll start off with a 45-second long introduction from each of the candidates, starting with Tamir. And in this introduction, candidates will be introducing themselves briefly, their qualifications, and their values. Very quick.
Okay. Hello everyone. I'm Tamir, and currently I'm enrolled in grade 11. I know that I haven't had much active exposure in terms of event management, event planning, and stuff at school, but I want everyone to know that I have had an event management experience. Through my co-op experience at the Yorkville Royals and Esther Hotel, where I've planned events such as employee health fairs, career fairs, recognize awareness and observatory days, so I want everyone to rest assured that I know how to plan stuff. Moreover, my campaign will highlight issues such as accessibility, affordability, student leadership, and inclusion and diversity.
You're gonna push the table in for a camera.
Pardon?
You're gonna push the table in a bit for a camera.
My name is Asaiwa Hilala, and I'm your current VP and running to be your future Vice President as well. I'm currently in grade 11 and next year I'll be in grade 12. I believe that I can not only make the best VP for SAC, but also for the student body. I believe that the small mistakes I've made, the suggestions that I've gotten throughout the years from teachers and students, also peers, I feel like those can help me become better as an individual and make me even better to be qualified to be your VP. Being Vice President is basically like being a bridge between SAC and the student body, and I'm always looking forward to helping out everyone within SAC. I've also demonstrated that too within the years. Being in SAC this year has.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruiz Farouk and I'm running to be your Vice President for this upcoming year. I'm currently in grade 10. My whole campaign goal is to redefine the high school experience. I want everyone to be able to enjoy the year with me as your Vice President. I want there to be clear communication between SAC and the student body. I also want SAC to focus more on serving the students more. So regarding my experience, I've volunteered in previous SAC events, so I know I have a good idea of how things function and what improvements need to be made. And also, I've also volunteered at a TNO organization where I've played a leadership role and have helped in making decisions. This is just basically a broad overview of my campaign and my vision for the next school year.
All right, I thank each candidate for their introduction. Just as a reminder, Victor will be holding a sign that says time to remind you of when you should be wrapping up your speech. Moving onward, we will be moving on to our question section. So there will be 3 questions in total, and I will be announcing each question. For the first question, Ozai will start talking, and then it'll be Revere, and then we'll move on to Louise, and we'll move on to Tamir. So, for these questions, each candidate will receive 1 minute to answer, and once every candidate has answered the question, there will be around 3 minutes of open discussion time in which a candidate can speak and other candidates are able to refute or discuss. Okay? Are there any questions? No questions? Nice. So the first question on the table today, and again, Ozai will start, is what are the most important things you want to achieve next year as the Vice President?
Basically, the most important thing I want to achieve next year is clear communication between students and the SAC. I want everyone to feel comfortable and have easy access to what's going on in school and understand better what's new and etc. I would also make sure that everyone's voices are being heard, so not only the minority but also the majority but also the minority. I would do that by making a Google Docs form, which will then be linked to the tree link, which you can find on the SAC Instagram page. And the forms would include like a suggestions form, concerns form, and even what you would like to see SAC do in the future. If I were to be your future SAC Vice President, I'd make sure that every MGCI student, after every event, they would fill out this form. So not only that SAC in the future can have more of those statics to use, so we can improve on what to do better for our future events.
So all of my goals for the upcoming school year, they all tie into building trust, and all of this begins with building trust within SAC. If there isn't trust within the council, then you can't transfer that onto the student body. So my main goal is to reach out to everyone in the school and have everyone involved in this events hosted. Inclusivity is my main policy, and I will work towards this by communicating with the student body and my fellow SAC members to make sure that an optimal solution is reached where everyone is happy. Now this involves giving the green light to all the events presented by the social and spirit conveners, and fine-tuning those events to make sure to promote inclusivity. I also want students to have an idea of what SAC is planning and not leave them in the dark, which is also a key step in building trust. Margarino, as you all know, is a very diverse population, and I want all the approximately 1,800 students to feel like they belong and be comfortable within the school environment.
So my campaign is centered around the idea of feedback glorification, meaning that I'm concerned about how SAC listens to the student body's wants, suggestions, and criticisms. Since my academic career at MGCI, I've noticed that SAC hasn't been very open in perceiving criticism. From what I've seen, most feedback is rarely really used, questioning how we operate and actually improving the student experience. So, if I hold office, I'll ensure that we create a real connection between the admin and the student body, which is synonymous with the student body's vision. In addition, I want to implement a system which understands sustainability, knowing our students' needs to consider their financial status, their social integrity, their academic pressure, and so on and so forth. So, I want to reinstate Wellness Wednesdays, cheaper fundraising events, and accessible venues.
I thank each candidate for their remarks and for the question. Now we are going to move on to around 3 minutes of open discussion. Note that this is around 3 minutes, and so each candidate cannot speak for longer than 1 minute consecutively. So you may begin.
So, Hassan, I wanted to ask you about your campaign. Your message was for all your problems to be heard, right? And it's also similar to your campaign from last year. So, being the current vice president, how have you worked on this, and how do you plan to improve it if you're elected for next year?
So basically, the way I did it was asking my friends the majority of the things, and I haven't really taken into consideration the minority. And I always question myself of how to reach the minorities. And now that I'm moving forward and trying to be your future vice president, I'm trying to make a Google form so we can put it up a tree link of MGCI, and that way people can fill out their concerns or suggestions or what they want to see SAC do in the future. And this year I've done that by asking my friends and peers around what they would like to see happen in SAC, and the biggest one that I've gotten was make movie night possible. So I kind of basically did that based on what the people wanted, the majority of people's movie choices and stuff like that, and I kind of looked into that.
But your friends aren't what cover the majority of the school population. So how would you address the rest of the school population? And what about those who don't have access to forms like Google Forms? How will they be able to voice their concerns?
So one of my proposals that I've written further on in the debate, I'll talk about this more, will be a communications board. And the communications board will be posted somewhere in the cafeteria or somewhere accessible for students to look at, and it would be SAC news from what's going on, if there's any SAC events or suggestions forms that will be onto the boards, and they can fill those out and stuff like that. I feel like that is one of the most successful ways where students who don't have phones and stuff like that, they can access those types of things that we're going to plan in the future too.
Tamir, do you have any comments?
So, Hosai and Ramiz, I know both of you are talking about serving students and like trying to find ways to make sure that we are serving students the best we can. How would you propose that we would serve the students the best way that we can? So, what would you do to improve student experiences?
So how I want to promote like serving the students is I want to build like a relationship of trust with them. And listening to their ideas and implementing those ideas, they will actually trust us and trust us for the future to run these events for them. I want them. My whole campaign is based on trust with the student body and SAC. If we build that trust first within SAC and then transfer it onto the student body, then we can serve the students and have a really wonderful school year.
Thank you. We will now move on to the second question. So this time we'll start with Luis, and then move on to Tamir, and then Jose. Question 2. How do you differ in one way or another from the other candidates?
So the main thing that I think separates me from the other candidates is my ability to cut off personal emotions. I know it sounds a little corny, but I believe it's a really important step in making decisions and not having any of your personal emotions influence those decisions. Especially when you're in a leadership role, you can't have any personal feelings influence your decisions for the greater good. The opinions of the student body are what matters the most, and the decisions should be made. The decisions that are made should be fitting those opinions. And this is an important step ensuring that everyone enjoys the school year and has something to look back at. I also have a good reputation in both the COPS and the mainstream community, which allows me to formulate a proper opinion which satisfies both parties. Also, when it comes to the passion component, I believe everyone up here has passion, but I don't think passion is the most important part. Anyone can fake passion. What's important is the ability to get stuff done and willingness to sacrifice to make those things happen.
So, compared to Hosai and Ramiz, I bring a more direct and engaged point of view to the position. When looking at all of our campaign platforms, you only see me providing ideas that I'm proposing to make happen, but neither Ramiz nor Hosai tells us exactly what they want to bring to the table. It kind of shows us that they only are running because they know they might win. But to me, it's not about winning. It's about me improving your experience. It's about me putting up with you and providing you events, the venues, the activities that you want. Remember, it's not about me in this position. It's about you and your experience. Thank you.
I'm different from the other candidates that here. Because of my experiences and my qualifications, I feel like being in SAC and understanding how to be part of SAC really put me at an advantage. I've already had the first-hand experience with how the position works, my role as a SAC member, and how much I have to commit to this. I've also proven myself to run for this position once again. I've also gained a much greater understanding of how I can improve as an individual with the position and make the school fare even better. One huge advantage of having me as a VP once again is that I know what the majority of people expect, and in the future I'm also considering minority, as I said before, as I mentioned before. Also, I've also had certain suggestions of stuff that I've gotten from teachers and peers, and I feel like that could also be way better. I've already made some amazing proposals that will get approved, and I promise to be 100% once I complete it.
I thank each candidate for their remarks. Now we are moving on to another round of 3-minute open discussion. Please keep it respectful, which you guys have done so thus far, as well as relevant to the question that was just asked. So not any generic discussion. Thank you.
So Tamir, you mentioned that we don't have any of our campaign goals on our debates. I have mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, my campaign is built on trust, and that trust is built by talking to the students and finding out what they need. I can't set goals right now and I don't know if the students will like them in the next year. We have to talk with the students at the next year, coming up next year, and discuss with them to see what's the most important thing they want. People don't know what they want right now, and you only know what you want at that moment in time. And at that moment in time is when you want to take action.
So you said that you're waiting until people tell you what they want, essentially, right? Okay, so if you don't know where to start, how will you start?
I already mentioned. I want to start. My whole campaign goal is to redefine the high school experience and make high school fun, especially make this year with me as vice president fun. I want everyone to feel safe and feel like they belong in this community. And that's not going to happen with me setting up predetermined goals and me not knowing if the students of next year will like them. I have to adapt to what the students' preference of next year and go on from there.
You mentioned that you would make venues and charters affordable, right?
Yeah.
So one of my questions is like, when you one of my questions to Bernice kind of asked that was like, why are you planning, or how do you think you would plan an event not knowing what the students would want? How would you base that off of? What statistics do you have?
Again, I'm not trying to plan events right now. I'm saying that I will find ways to plan with affordability and accessibility in mind.
How would that your campaign and building trust and dedication?
So I think that Ramiz is saying that trust in the student body, so telling them that we will bring transparency. And obviously we do need transparency. But I think that those students really need from us is events that are accessible and easy to go to, and they're actually fun, you know? We can't have something that's costing $50 for everyone to go to, because let's be honest, most of the school probably doesn't have a part-time job, and they probably can't afford something that's $50 until asking their parents.
I thank the candidates for their remarks. I will now move on to the third and final discussion question. And for this one, Tamir will start. Okay. Question 3. How will you hold yourself accountable and take initiative within the role of vice president?
So, as SAC Vice President, I will hold myself accountable by setting clear, measurable goals and providing regular progress updates to the council and the student body. I will seek feedback through surveys, town halls, and open forums, ensuring transparency and responsiveness to the student body's needs. To take initiative, I will identify key areas of improvement, develop attainable plans, and lead to address specific issues. By fostering a collaborative environment and systematically tracking our progress, I will ensure our efforts are effective and aligned with the Council's mission. I will bring true transparency by posting weekly updates, showing our student body how we plan to execute our plans, and taking any additional feedback or suggestions they have to foster a community which focuses on the greatness of the student body.
Jose goes next, please.
The position I'm already in SAC, I've already prepared to be held accountable in my actions. If you know me as a person, I don't give up so easily, nor do I let my friends like you guys do the body. Of course, get sad or upset. And I'm also a very emotional person, so
So the main step I'm going to take to hold myself accountable is to let go of all my other extracurricular activities. In the last 2 years, I've been part of the basketball team, just taking up a lot of my extracurriculars. I'm willing to make a sacrifice so I can focus on SAC. I have quite hefty goals, and I want to put all my time and skill on these goals. And I'll make sure any goals that I have or SAC have are attainable and are in an acceptable time frame. There is no need for unrealistic goals or any extra stuff until significant improvement has been made, and there's no need to start anything without improving the current situation. And the role of vice president is defined as like a second leader and someone who takes over in the case of the president's absence. I will ensure that all members of SAC are working efficiently and effectively while if the president is absent, and even if that president isn't absent, working by the president's side to make sure the SAC fulfills all the council objectives. We'll also hold the selected positions accountable for what they contribute for as we are part of selecting those positions.
Jose, would you like to continue or yes?
I feel like the position I'm in now, which is like media SAC, I'm already prepared to be accountable of my actions. If you get to know me as a person, I won't give up easily, nor can I let my friends. I'm a very nice and approachable person, and when I let down people I care so much, which is a student body, of course it's very bad feeling, and I will never ever want to break people I care about down. I don't think that I've been leading this year I've let anyone down so far, not that I've known of. And to prevent anything from going sideways, I've prepared schedules and always needed. And I've already known how much to commit to SAC, like there's a certain time, there's a amount of effort you put into this, and I feel like I've already done that throughout the years, especially that I've like had so many other things, like I have 8 people in my family to take care of, doing schoolwork on top of that, keeping my grades up, and also having time for myself and staff as well. So I feel like being organized and time management is one of my biggest skills.
Okay, so now we'll move on to an open discussion. This one's going to be quicker. Let's say around 2 minutes, since we're a little low on time. But you guys can just continue. Same rules as usual.
So, Tamir, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned you have attainable goals. One of your campaign goals on your platform was to support spontaneous field trips. If I'm correct, that's more of a TDSB policy. How do you plan to change something with school board?
We don't planning to change the policy. I'm planning to find ideas that students have. I'm not planning those field trips. I'm not saying that. I'm not promising to plan field trips. I'm saying that I want to bring together students who want field trips, like things that they want, the field trip that they want. I want teachers to listen to those things. I will advocate for that. That's what I'm saying.
So at the end of the day, it's TDSB policy.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to change the policy. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to bring students together to voice their opinions about it, to advocate for it. I'm not trying to change their policy.
If you do that, it's going to take up a lot of the school year to get together all the people informed and proper opinion. How are you going to focus on all your other goals if your main goal is just focusing on getting the students?
Well, like I said, that was not my main goal. My main goal was bringing together that feedback glorification thing, where we have students bring their feedback to us. That was my main goal.
Okay. Jose, would you like to add anything?
So basically, also everything you said that our campaigns are possible, or like they didn't have any, like it didn't have a chance of happening. So one of my questions is like, how do you plan to make the field trips happen? Yeah, like I said, that it is TDSB policy, and
I'm not trying to make it happen. I'm trying to bring I'm trying to bring students back to voice their concerns about policy, to give us ideas about what opinions they have about the policy, to give us ideas on how to plan future field trips, not the field trips that we're planning right now.
Okay, so we will now move on to the question posed by the audience, and due to time constraints, I think we only have time for one. So responses to this question should be no longer than a minute. We're really short on time. And for this one, we'll start with SAC, since you're scheduled. Yeah, Victor will be answering the question.
Now that we're moving on to the Q&A section, we'll get a little bit more involved so we can give our candidates Q&A. Thank you. Our first question for VP candidates will be, how do you get more people engaged in events like SAC in general. Try and keep your responses to 30 seconds.
So basically, as I mentioned before, there will be a communications board so for people who don't have access to social media or any of those other platforms, there's going to be working on communication board, which will be located somewhere very visible, maybe like in the cafeteria on that side. And I feel like that way people who don't know what's going on in schools, they can still find out even though they don't have access to social media. And I feel like that communication between SAC and student body, it would make sure that more people of MGCI are aware.
To engage people with SAC is back to my main goal, building trust with people. And as I build this trust, people will want to engage with SAC because and I said I'm going to give the green light for all the social spirit events to take place. And people are going to see those events and want to engage in them, and because of the trust we built with the students, they want to participate in those events and be a part of SAC.
So for me, I think bringing more engagement would be like making things cheaper, because people like cheaper things. If you have something cheaper, people will want to go for it, compared to if something that was like $30. If it was $15, more people would go. That's one of my things. And also, I would try my best to actually get people to listen to the announcements, to listen to posts, to look at our, I basically make a wall where we have all of our announcements, like what events are coming up, what they cost, how to go to them, where to go to them, stuff like that.
Okay, I thank each candidate for their response. Now we're going to move to the concluding section. So each candidate will have around 45 seconds of time to wrap up their campaign, starting with their B's, and we'll end it there. So take it away.
I don't want to, and I won't make any empty promises. Whatever I set out to accomplish, wherever I have in my goals, I will accomplish it, and it will be to the liking student body, and I will adjust it for it to be the liking student body. I will ensure that all members of SAC are working efficiently and effectively to listen to the students and finalize these events to make sure they're to the students' liking. So remember, vote for B's and stay at ease.
So once again, like I feel like I would be the perfect candidate for this position because one of my experience just being a very VP of SAC. Second, already like a bridge between myself and body MGCI. I've already got suggestions how to improve as an individual, and I'm always committed to bringing up the absolute best of SAC. I feel like our campaign is the most realistic, it's one of things out of the world, and I've already made good results that I've already happened in SAC before to make possible.
So just to reiterate, my company will focus on reimagining SAC as a hub which will drive creativity, innovation, imagination of the student body. To emphasize, my campaign is all about your experience at MGCI, not about my role in it. And once again, I'm here to bring accessibility, inclusion, and equity, and perspective. Furthermore, I want to build trust between you and admin. Your involvement is just as important as our planning. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this debate. Thank you.